So thank you for joining us. Please save your questions for the end and mute yourself. For those who are first time with us and wonder who we are, Serverless Toronto started almost 8 years ago now, and we were meeting place for function as a service developers, but during COVID we migrated to online format, and over time we realized that we could help businesses by working smarter, not by sprinting faster. So we started defining serverless not just as a tech stack, but as a pragmatic mindset, a way to focus on business value. And this broad definition of serverless allows us to explore various IT topics. So visit our YouTube channel to check over 7 years of educational content. Much of it is still highly relevant. And if you have topic and ideas you want to present, mention it in the survey. So please go to the survey bit.ly/SLSTO. And so we hope to see you on our upcoming meetups next month, January 15th. Our guests will be from Alberta's Founders Friday community. We invited them because as AI handles more implementation work, we need to focus on choosing the right problems to solve. And our focus will be shifting from how to what and why. So Brandy Old and Craig Ellis will be covering idea validation framework for founders to figure out if the idea will work. And so I hope to see you there if that interests you. And then in February, we will have an annual event where we cover topics like 3 to 4 short topics made in Canada talks from local pros. So keep an eye on that meetup. It's not firmed up yet. You cannot RSVP, but we are cooking something special for you. It may be even offline. Like I'm not sure, but we got offers from a good space to do it in person. We'll see. Watch out for that. And last but not the least, big thank you for Mining Publications for supporting us as a knowledge sponsor. They generously donate a title at every meetup. So to enter raffle at the end of the event, complete the survey, again, bit.ly/SLSTO, and we'll draw one winner at the end. And for everybody else, Mining provides 45% off code for this group for any of their digital products. So scan the barcode and enjoy the saving. And before I pass the mic to Vandana, so let me reaffirm what I said at the beginning. MCP opened new security risks most of us did not know about yet. And OWASP is the group that creates security standards for the web. And they just released top 10 vulnerabilities for MCP, and Vandana wrote it. So you are learning straight from the source today. So Vandana, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to educate AI builders. Floor is yours. Please take it away.
Thank you so much. And I hope I'll be able to justify to what you've just said and everyone is expecting. I'll try to share as much as I know. This is the first or the draft version of it, or the 0.1 version. The next updated version would be in March 1st week, once we collate more data from everyone else, whether it's organizations, whether it's people who are working on MCP, because MCP is new, so we could only get so much data. So we are sharing the information. Now, let me share my screen. I hope you are all able to see my screen.
Yep, looks good.
Amazing, thank you. Amazing, thank you so much. All right, set. Okay, now when we talk about MCPs, before even we came into this AI era, APIs were a big thing. APIs have come a long way. They have long been the lifeblood of modern applications, whether we accept it or not, but everything that we use is running on APIs these days. Connecting systems, enabling integrations, powering innovation. But as we move into this era of AI native apps and autonomous agents, everyone is actually talking about agents also. So the old API parameter is being replaced by a new paradigm, which is MCP, Model Context Protocol. So this talk will deep dive into how MCP security compares through the traditional API security and why our classic checklist, authentication, rate limits, injections are no longer enough when we talk about clients, and especially when we talk about LLM with memory, autonomy, and access to the external tools that are there. So I'll try to share real world examples as well. But yes, as I said, that it's something which is new. If you have something more to share, please do feel free to share. We are open for taking inputs. And Daniel has given wonderful insights on what is OWASP, what community is OWASP all about. I won't go through my bio. He has already shared it. So we'll talk about what is model context protocol, real world usage, some of the risk. So, and then we'll also talk about MCP top 10 risk. I'll try and share it, what we have on the website, so that you can go through it. And if you want to share some inputs, some insights on that, so you can directly share your thoughts on GitHub as well. Now, when we talk about large language models or LLMs like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Llama, they have completely changed how we interact with the information and the working that we are doing with them. They can write wonderfully, perform deep research, and even solve increasingly complex problems. Now, if you talk about me, I use ChatGPT to Gemini day in and day out. For some random things also, even at times for some recipes, like cooking recipes, like who talks about it. And when I'm frustrated, if I don't have someone to talk about it, ChatGPT is the way to go. So I think that's something which is crazy, but at the same time very soothing as well. But while there are these typical models excel at responding to all the things that we say, or natural language, they have been constrained by their isolation from the real world data and the systems that are there. And now, especially MCP addresses this challenge by providing a standardized way for LLMs to connect with external data or data sources and tools. Especially if I have to call it as it's like a universal remote for AI, where you have multiple or you have segregation of all the information. Like if I'm speaking with Daniel, I'll only be speaking with him. If I'm speaking with John, I'll only be speaking with him. Or even for that matter, if I'm sharing some information, confidential information from with Atul, it'll be just with us. It'll not be like shared across. So now, where did it come from? It was released by Anthropic as an open source protocol. So MCP builds on existing function calling by eliminating the need for custom integration between LLMs and the other apps that are there. So this means that if you are a developer or if I'm a developer, I can build more capable, context-aware applications without even reinventing the wheel for each combination of AI models which are there or external systems which are there, in very simple words. So MCP, if I have to say, it's a standardized framework for enabling AI models to communicate with external tools, databases, and services. And it creates this consistent interface that allow our AI systems to access real-time information, manipulate data, and execute actions beyond their built-in capabilities. Now, remember, why I'm saying that, remember when we started with ChatGPT, it became a real boom. But it was saying that we only have the data till 2021. Even though it came in 2022 or 23, it did not have the appropriate data. Now, with MCP, you have the real-time data, you have those real interactions, you have context-aware information. So it's much more informational, much more conversational, and context-aware. Now, that's about it. But let's understand how exactly we had it. So we had earlier, before MCP, we were talking with multiple apps and we were trying to create unique APIs. But after having this MCP, we had proper context where if I'm speaking with one app, I'll only be speaking with that. I would not be sharing the data with someone else accidentally also. So that's something which is key, which is important. Now, if I talk about MCP architecture or the components, MCP has a very clear structure with components that work together to help the LLMs and outside system interact with them. So we have MCP host, we have MCP client, we have MCP server. Now, if I start with MCP host, what it is, the LLM which has MCP host or LLM is contained within the MCP host. And if I talk about client, MCP client located or it's located within the MCP host. And when we say MCP server, it's an external service that provides context, data, or capabilities to the LLM. Now, let me just share this architecture where you have host, client, and server. So LLM is contained within this MCP host, and then the MCP client, which is located within the MCP host, and MCP server is the external services. So the information that I was talking about is that there's one-to-one connection which is there. So there's a one MCP client, we'll be talking with that, whether it's Sentry, with any file system, whether it's any database. So there is proper segregation of that. And let me give you an example. When we talk about Visual Studio Code, or how many of you use Visual Studio Code? Let's put it this way, because this is a wonderful, like we all use, right? Some way or the other, we do use it. Or if I have to call it out, we use day in and day out, right? So Visual Studio Code acts as an MCP host. When Visual Studio Code establishes the connections or connection to an MCP server, such as Sentry MCP server or maybe any other, the Visual Studio Code runtime initiate or instantiate an MCP client object that maintain that connection with the Sentry MCP server. Even when you open the Visual Studio Code, you can have multiple MCP servers, and that's the wonderful part. Maybe in next session we can have a proper detailed demo as well, because I'm working on making sure that whatever information we have, we try and have those demos as well going forward. So I think that's something which is key. And here the beautiful part is that you can have one-to-one relationship of MCP clients to MCP servers. Now, MCP server refers, or if somebody has to just call it out, it's basically contains the context of data regardless of where it runs. So that's the beauty of it. Now, let's understand the key capabilities. If I have to say what is enabled, if I enable MCP. First of all, MCP enable AI models to fetch current information from databases, APIs, and web services on demand. Let's say if I want some information on demand from a particular API, it'll fetch it for me. It will not be like getting me the data 3 years back, of the data of 3 years back. It is not going to happen. And here you would be not relying on potentially outdated training data also. So AI can retrieve the latest stock prices, weather forecast, or customer records as well. And the best part is that this capability ensures that the response remain accurate also and relevant. But yes, you have to have the right amount of data for that. If you say that, oh, I have an MCP server, but I don't have the real data or the good data, how would you say that, yes, it's going to fetch that data? So you have to have that kind of data also. Now, even when information changes, because we see that even with fraction of seconds, the data is changing, information is changing, it actually can fetch that information. Then we also can actually, why did I say it? So here, we can also make sure that the memory is persistent. It is not like it is just doing it and forgetting about it. No. So MCP provides framework for maintaining this context across the interactions. And I understand that sometimes because of that, the memory gets exceeded or there's buffer in the memory. But then it allows AI to remember previous conversation steps and user preference without exhausting the whole context windows. So if I'm speaking with my LLMs, there'll be 5 different conversations. So it can maintain that state. And by accessing external storage systems, AI can also track the conversation history, even user preferences, and maintain awareness about the ongoing processes which are there. And I think this is something which I totally love. And it also leads to multi-system orchestration, where MCP enables AI to coordinate activities across multiple separate tools and services. It's not just that there's a conversation going on, but if there is a conversation or there's a exchange of data with different tool also, then also it remembers it. So it's in sequence. It is not going to bypass any step. So an AI can retrieve information from one system, process it, and then use the results to drive action into another system. So this capability supports complex workflows, and it also can retrieve customer data, generate a report, and even if it's happening in multiple systems, it will maintain that state and it will not bypass any of those steps. It will specially follow it. The best part is it also runs on the feedback loop. So MCP create bi-directional communication channel where AI can initiate actions, receive responses, analyze outcomes, and adjust subsequent steps accordingly if it needs to follow. It is not like if I have to follow one step and something fails, so it's going to stop there. No. If there is a route, if there's an action which you have to do and you have to reach Y, if you've just specified one location or A, it will not stop there. It will look for B also, that how I can reach to the best location. So that's, I think, MCP is like a boon in that. Now, everything has some challenges also. As much as we talk about that, oh, this is the best, everything is has good or bad. People say that, oh, I love AI, but I still feel that I feel scared about it. Like the data is getting leaked a lot of times. We have seen so many breaches. We have seen misinformation also. That's okay. Now with model context protocol or MCP, we can improve LLM capabilities by connecting to the outside systems. But first thing, we need user context, consent, and control. Now, when I'm working with Gemini, I make sure that for special or for certain actions, I give approval. I think that my camera is behaving a little weird. So I need to give the consent as well. So a user need to clearly understand and agree to all the action and the data which access the LLM, or where LLM perform actions through the MCP. It should not be like, oh, these are high risk transactions, and because the data has come through MCP and it will just approve. No, they should be able to. Users should be able to control what data is shared, what actions are taken, ideally through easy to use authorization screens. Then comes certain issues like privacy or data privacy. So before exposing user data to MCP servers, host must clearly define those permissions or clearly take permission from the users. Sensitive data should be protected with proper access control to prevent any kind of accidental leak. It's like I shared a GitHub key with John, and suddenly I'm speaking with Daniel, and I see that there is a GitHub key. Would that be okay? I don't think so. Now, if you look at GitHub, there are so many open AI keys floating around. Especially when I give this vibe coding session, I actually shared that screenshot with blurred keys. But then remember, as much as we become the masters of AI, where we say that I'm writing an app using AI, trust me, there are so many things going here and there if you are not giving the right prompts. I have experimented with it. I have been the victim of it, and I know where things can go wrong. So I think that's something which is very important. That it's like an untrained parrot. If you're sharing something, you never know where it's going to blur out if you don't train it right, or if you don't set the context right. Then the big problem is the tool safety. Tools which are linked through MCP can be used to run code. Now, developers should not trust these tool descriptions unless they come from the reliable server, or they'll just be merging things into the main branch, and you'll be like, "What has happened?" Or maybe deleting the whole repository. What will you do then? So, as much as you respect it, it can be a troublesome for you. Now, output handling is also important. When you take the input, or when you share the input, and then there's an output which is coming, you should not use it directly. You should vet it out and then pass it on. Then another problem, which is a very big one, is supply chain security. It has been the problem. It is the problem. And I'm sure for a very, very long time, this will be the problem. So the reliability of the MCP servers and the external tools, or where we are connecting them, is very, very important, because we don't know when we are connecting with, or when we are interacting with the vendors, what kind of information we are getting. So I think that's something which is very, very important. Now, let me actually share this simple diagram where we talk about this traditional API security and MCP security. Now, this traditional API security focus on endpoints and tokens. But when we talk about MCP, it specifically talks about context and the intent that you have. And with MCP, there is a continuous validation that yes, you're giving the permission. Yes, you're giving the permission. But with APIs, there's one-time authentication, and we have always talked about that we should give just-in-time access to APIs. It should not be like somebody has the API key and they're playing around with our data. No. Here in traditional API security, human initiate those requests. But with MCP, because it has the access, AI generate those requests, that what we need to do next. And then the permissions are scoped. The best part is adaptive. Now, what is adaptive? Where, who is logging in what time? What information is being shared at what time? And especially if I have to call it out from an access perspective, if I am accessing, or my system is accessing the data only on Mondays and Thursdays, when I start logging in on weekends, it is flagging the data that yes, there's something wrong. You need to re-authenticate it. So there's always a context boundary around it and data boundary around it. Now let's talk about it. For what we are actually here for is the MCP top 10 threats. Now I have it in my or I have it with me, but before that, let me actually share my screen and show it to you what I'm talking about, and I'll show you where you can find MCP top 10. Just move it. So I will share this link as well. Now, as I said, this is the first draft or first version of it. It needs love. So if there's something wrong, please do kindly share your feedback. We're all learning. It's a community project. It needs help. And everyone is contributing to that. So here, we've talked about, here we are talking about what is MCP top 10. We started with the drafting, we drafted the initial version. We opened it up for community review and feedback for a month. Then we did this beta release, and even now we have this final release done. If you look at this website or this particular link, you have everything from the first to 10, all of the information is listed over here. Based on your experience, if you see that there's something more that needs to be shared here, please do feel free to share. Now, so these are the top 10 list, and if you want more details about them, just go here, click on it, and it will provide the complete information, and even you can make your suggestions on GitHub. So it'll take you directly to GitHub. Now, I'm going to explain each of them very briefly, but I will do it. I'm just telling you how you can navigate through this. So here, if you see, you have all this list, which is updated. All right, now let me go back. So instead of just the slides, I thought, why don't I share the exact threats or what it is? Now, let me just explain one by one. What is token management or what is privilege escalation in this particular sense. Now, if I talk about token management, in MCP-based systems, tokens and credentials serve as the primary means of authentication. And whether it's models, whether it's tools, and whether it's servers. And especially developers, or even we mishandle these secrets. We embed them in the configuration files, environment variables, prompt templates, which is like becoming the most common thing, or even allowing people to persist these things. Now, and especially when there's a context memory and we share the secret, it will stay there forever, whether we remove it or not, whether we try and remove it or not, but it will be there. And since the MCP enabled long-lived sessions, stateful agents, and context persistent, these tokens can be actually stored, indexed, or retrieved later through the user prompts, system calls, or log inspection. That becomes a very big problem, where if these tokens get exposed, what will happen? There's complete environment compromise through APIs that can happen. There could be unauthorized access or code notifications which can be there. There'll be lateral movements across integrated services through the CI/CD pipeline. So you never know where things can go wrong. Even I would love to keep my session active if I get those tokens and exfiltrate as much data as I can from the databases. So how do you figure them out, that where things can go wrong. So first of all, when we talk about hard coding, that should never happen. Token or API keys should never be hard coded in MCP client, server, or tool configurations. Model or agents actually retain conversational memory. So if there is a conversation going on, never share any kind of secret. And um, even logging is something which we talk about it always. So logging, telemetry, or vector stores, they record full prompts or responses without redaction. So it'll be there forever. What can you do? Implement secret hygiene controls. If you can't keep your secret, who will keep your secret? Now you have a best friend, your LLM, where you're sharing the detail. Now your LLM also have a best friend with also it'll be sharing those secrets. So it'll always be like moving around, which you don't want. So store secrets in secure vaults. There are a ton of secret vaults. I'm not going to promote anyone here, but yes, we do have. Limit token lifetime and the scope. Issue short-lived tokens, scope tokens, which can be there, which align with the least privilege. If they don't need the access, why are you going to give it? And we can enforce context isolation. So that's something which is very, very important. Then comes privilege escalation via scope creep. Now, scope creep happens or happens when temporary or narrowly scoped permission is granted to an MCP agent or a tool, and that's expanded over time. For example, I love creating apps, but I'm not a developer. Like I think I coded like 20 years back. So if you ask me to do it now, I'll have a cold feet. But now with the AI, oh, I'm a master. But then I started creating a chatbot, or let's give it a name, Chatty, and I'll keep taking this name. So I gave some permissions to Chatty. Then I'm like, oh yeah, it's so amazing. It gives me data, right? With ChatGPT, everything was so fascinating. And then we started sharing whatnot. Even I think there was one more app that came, DeepSeek. Oh my God. With DeepSeek, I had a big trouble, let me tell you. I didn't know that it was banned in our organization. But by God's grace, I just opened the URL. I did not do anything else. And I still got an email from compliance team saying that you did it. And I'm like, I just opened it. I didn't do anything. Trust me. So that was a big mistake. Now think about you sharing the data. The kids are using ChatGPT. I know my niece is just in seventh standard and she's using ChatGPT for what not. Now remember, these things can be so creepy. And with chatbots, we are giving them one permission. And then I like, oh, this is good. Now we can give this permission as well. Now we can give this permission as well. Or let me tell you, from an employee perspective. Now, there's a lot of employee data which is there in the database, and which has access to HR systems, which has access to marketing systems and whatnot, especially Salesforce or these CRM systems. Now, this employee also has access to the system. This employee was experimenting with the LLM and the context or the information around it. I was thinking that what should be the salary for current, like at my level? I am earning this, but what should be the salary? Now there's a response that comes back from that model saying that to be very transparent, um, let me share the list of all the people that are your level. This is the salary of this person. Now, if it's more, then you are like, oh my God, why this person is getting more? And if it's less, then you'll be happy. Oh, they're getting lesser than me. But think about it's a big compromise in the system, right? Ideally, there should be segregation, but there's no segregation. Now, what is the impact of that? Unauthorized now, especially if I talk from an MCP perspective, and then we have these kind of things, there'll be unreviewed deployments, potential introduction of backdoor or vulnerabilities. There'll be full environment control where privileges allow service accounts to impersonate, creation of new credentials. If I don't have admin access to the serverless group, I'll be Daniel and I'll be playing around with it. Like I'll be setting up multiple meetups in a week. to be doing it. So I think that's something would be very interesting for me. Now, let's talk about tool poisoning. These are the things which are interesting, and I can go on and on. Especially if I talk about tool poisoning, it starts with schema poisoning, and where there could be attackers who can tamper with the contract or schema definitions that manage agent to tool interactions in an MCP ecosystem. So schemas define the shape, types, and semantics of request and responses, effectively the language agents use to call the tools. But if an attacker can modify a schema or the metadata, what will happen? There'll be few things here and there. There'll be data loss. There'll be corruption of data. There'll be privilege abuse. There'll be policy bypass. There'll be widespread compromise that will happen, and there'll be lose of trust. We will be seeing that the trust is being lost everywhere. So what shall we do? Let's talk about it. We need to have sign schemas and manifest integrity. I think that's something which is very, very important. Um, we need to use immutable schema registry so that we can control the versions. And we need to have strong access controls and separation of duties. There could be a lot of things around policies that can be there, but if there is a compromised CI/CD pipeline, um, what would you do? So those are the things something which are very important, and which should be taken care of, because if an attacker compromises a CI/CD runner, which is used to publish schemas and pushes and then if an attacker pushes malicious schema that remaps archive into delete. So if you're trying to archive something and you don't know because there's a change in the name, you're deleting everything, whether it's or approved jobs and whatnot. So that's something which is very, very important. Tool poisoning is also a very big problem. Then comes software supply chain. Let me tell you, I've kept it four, but then I still feel this should be like a little bit more ahead, because supply chain attacks are a big, big, big problem. And not just MCP environments, even every web application environment heavily rely on third-party components. There was a research done by Linux Foundation and Snyk, and I remember that the data came out as that 80 to 90% of the code that we have on the internet is open source. Now imagine if that amount of code is open source, where things can go south. You never know. So that's such a big, big, big problem. All these SDKs, connectors, protocols, servers, vector database clients, plugins, models, side in tool integrations, and everything. We are leveraging. We are not reinventing the wheel. If somebody has created it, we are just using it. So attackers may target these MCP server libraries, third-party plugins, dependency updates, or even more open source model tooling. What will you do about it? We don't know much about MCP yet. So they can leverage it and can have unauthorized access and code execution. They'll just corrupt the MCP logic and play around with it. So they'll have access to everything that you talk about. So when you're using any third-party dependency, I would always suggest to have a BOM, which is bill of material. And now in AI context, it's being called as AI bill of material or AI BOM. That's something which is the key. We need to have it, whether we like it or not, but we have to have it. And apart from that, we can have sign components, and we can validate signatures during install. That's something which is important. Then comes command injection and execution. Now, I'll explain this, and then I'll also share some of the interesting details about the MCPs. Now, command injection in MCP environments happen when this agent or AI agent construct and execute system commands, whether it's shell script, whether it's API calls, or even the code snippets which are there, because we trust the input so much. Now, unlike traditional command injections where attacker directly control the input fields, MCP-based command injections are the mediating through the model layer. So model is there in between. So there's prompt-driven execution which are there. There's dynamic command construction, like on the fly, there's a command which is being constructed. And there's not just one vulnerability that's being exploited here. There's a chaining of vulnerabilities that can happen here. So what can we do? Let's understand first of all. First of all, we need to detect it and then see if there are any unusual commands which are being running in the system. For that, you need to log it, monitor it. And if you have least privilege implemented, half of the job is already done, because most of the problem starts with execution of sudo, su, or suid. That's where these binaries are used, or suid binaries are being exploited by these agent processes. If you have this least privilege installed, I think it's mostly sorted. Then you have these file system anomalies, where we know there are sensitive parts like etc password, root, proc, ssh that should not be given access to anyone, and we still see people have access to it and people are able to play around with it. So I think that's something which is very, very important. Now, while we talk about all of this, a prompt injection needs no introduction. When we talked about LLM, I think prompt injection is there with everything. Whatever we deal with it, if say, oh, no, it's with chatbot. Trust me, it's not just with chatbot, it's with anything that you talk about. Even if it's an input field, that's an input field. It's taking information and it's processing it. So it's some kind of prompt injection. Now, then we have seen authentication authorization issue, and we are not logging our times. Now, if you're not logging and you're not creating those telemetries, how will you know where things went wrong? So that's a very big problem. Now, somebody was mentioning as a feedback, the shadow MCP servers, why are they here? It's just an operational issue. But remember, when we talked about shadow IT, that is still a big problem. After almost like 50 years, we still see these issues, right? Now, these kind of issues will be there. Now, we have started creating MCP servers and forgetting about it. We set up and we forgot about it. It's still connected to our systems, our agents, our tools, and it's still managing it. If somebody has access to those shadow MCP servers, remember where things can go wrong if they get access to your data. So they can play around with context and whatnot. So that's something which is very, very important. So all of these things we felt that is important, but yes, we would love to hear your feedback as well. But now when you build your MCP server, remember to take care of few of the things. Now, what are those things? First of all, plan it. Now, design for minimal exposure. When we talk about context, that's the power. Expose as little as possible. Define the minimum viable context. Like we talk about minimum viable product. So here it has to be minimum viable code. What actually is needed by AI? I'll just take 5 minutes more. So we can use threat modeling, which can stimulate what happens if an AI goes rogue. That's something which is very, very important. Then build it. Secure the gate, not just the door. Use reference implementations, not just these DIY MCP servers. Somebody has created an MCP server. Oh, it looks fascinating. Then I should use it. I wouldn't suggest. Enforce strong authentication and authorization. Schema security is very, very important. Use signed JSON schemas, version your schema, validate inbound and outbound payloads strictly. That's very, very important. Once you have built, test it out. Break it before even it breaks you. So build an MCP pen test checklist or penetration test checklist, like scope, escalation tests, or this token lifetime abuse that can be done. You can play around with context fuzzing, schema validations, use LLM-based red teaming. There's a red teaming guide for LLMs, which is there. You can work with that. And once you have that, every MCP call should be recorded. Include caller, purpose, input schema ID, response hash. That's something which is very important. Then enforce policy as a code. Integrate MCP configuration into your CI/CD pipeline. That's something which is very important. And once you have this whole thing, remember, human element is the key, because if you don't have this human element, you'll be actually in trouble. So OWASP is leading the charge with it. There's a Gen AI security project I totally love. There's Agentic Top 10, which is going to be released on December 10. Then you have this MCP security checklist. You have this whole MCP Top 10. Please shower your blessings on that. There are so many wonderful references that you can go through. I love them. And especially if I have to talk about this MCP control protocol.io, beautiful. This is just the ways to start off. So thank you so much. Secure your code from the start. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. So now we can open the microphones and then ask questions. Like with me, like I'm not new to OWASP, 2 decades, like hacking the first steps. And the problem is always remembering checklists. Like you work for the company Snyk. Are there any toolings? I know this is not promotional, but we need help, MCP servers, to do it for us rather than, so it's part of CI/CD process of building the tools, regression tests. How can your company or any other company help? You don't have to market.
First of all, I think before even setting up anything, understand what it is and why do you need it. Because a lot of time, everyone is using it, I have to use it. Like AI, everyone is implementing, I have to use it. So understand whether you need it or not. If you need it, for what purpose you need it, how much permission you need to give it, how much access you need to give it. Do you have the right amount of tool? You have a right amount of data to provide it. I think if you don't have the right amount of data, you will just be playing around with just enough data, and it will not give you the right results. So if you're using any MCP server, let's say Snyk has an MCP studio, right? Snyk studio. And I'm not promoting Snyk at all. I'm using multiple other MCP servers like I talked about. So you just pick it up, understand what it does, what kind of communication it is doing, and whether it's useful for your data or not. And most of it, proper authorization and authentication is something which is very important, whether it's A tool, whether it's B tool, whether it's API, whether it's anything else. I think it's something which is very important. So there is OAuth token, which is there, which is available now. We can leverage it.
Thank you for sharing. Naresh has a question, but let me, because you mentioned authentication, like we tried implementing OAuth 2 on top of MCP server, streamable HTTP MCP server within company that uses Azure Active Directory. And typical stack is fast API and then fast MCP and Azure. The problem is some dynamic configuration proxy. It is so painful that we just step back and define the API keys for sharing. Like that's still in flux. Like, what is your experience? Like, you cannot choose which SSO infrastructure enterprises are going to use. But do you have any hints? Like now they're using proxies. Why do I need to manage another piece of infrastructure to proxy to Azure? Like, what are the things you see in the field? Like, I'm a developer, maybe you don't have the same perspective, but is there anything you heard in the community?
Maybe, actually, I've not heard too many things about it. But then that's a very good question. Maybe just if I can call it out as just-in-time access, that might be something which is important, which can be there. But actually, I can pose this question and get the right answer, to be very honest, to be more mindful. Yeah, because now I think we need these kind of discussions with the community. What are they seeing, especially when it comes to the proxy issues, when we are setting up these authentications?
Yes. And then there's also distribution. Talk about supply chain. Like, so for instance, the company that I helped, like there are multiple types of MCP servers. So if you do old-fashioned STDIO, you have to deploy it on PPI. You have to host it on other person's site. That's a no-go. Then I have to put it in Artifactory locally or Docker, wherever some approved environment. So I ended up like pivoting into HTTP servers that are bundled into the REST endpoints, like a wrapper on top of REST endpoint. So at least there is not one more thing to manage. So my supply chain is shorter. So is there any experience that you heard on the conferences about like preferred way to do it? There are so many choices. Like I like HTTP streamable. Like what is recommended now in the?
No, I think, Daniel, the worst part is that we don't have ample of discussions going around this area. People are still very new to it. They're saying that, oh, we have set it up, but that's about it. What are they experimenting with it? I haven't seen much. No.
And then you call Python and you have no clue what client developer will have on his machine. It's impossible. So you have to use UVX or NPX. And then you have to deploy it somewhere. So it's still gray area. So as much as we love the topic, it's kind of Wild West, people, when you go in there. So be careful.
Absolutely. And you said that you've set up your MCP servers because you wanted to avoid certain rule sets or issues, and then we might end up with a lot of shadow MCP servers, right?
Yes.
That's again a big problem.
Yes, crazy. And then interactions. Naresh, go ahead. Sorry, I kept asking. So thank you. So
No, it's fine.
really
You
honored to
touched
have
on the
you.
question. It's more related to shadow MCP servers, and you touched upon. Vandana, you know that
Yes.
quantum is real now, right? Quantum computing is no more dream, and
Yeah.
people is mining the data for years, and then now they exploit all the data. So, with the advantage of this MCP and shadow MCPs, what would you foresee the future? That how would the quantum breakthrough on the cybersecurity will disturb the world? Was there anything that research going on towards it? I know it's a big bomb, but yeah, just want to hear your opinion.
Let me tell you. So I gave a small talk on MCP top 10, and somebody asked a similar question. Now, when I talk about quantum, in my perspective, um, especially if MCP or when these MCP servers start connecting with the critical infrastructure, these
Right.
quantum computing becomes relevant. Now, why? Because AI agent may store secrets,
Yep.
MCP modules may sign API calls, and this credential rotation, key exchange, S bomb, C bomb, all of this is there. So quantum creates a world where RSA or these ECC based signing, attestation, that becomes even the more possible. But there will be issues which might lead to these spoofed MCP tool registrations as
Right.
much as we use this quantum computing for the betterment. But then there are attackers who are like real. They can lead to these behavioral abuse and whatnot. I think that can be a big risk layer that can be there, but it is real. I feel so. I'm not too much into this crypto context or these big time into quantum, but I feel it can be a really, really wonderful area to work towards
Yeah.
because there's so
Oh,
much which is happening and it's real. I agree with you on that.
thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, the
And
talk
I
was
have a lot to
enlightening.
learn.
No, I know
I'm sorry.
everyone. The talk was enlightening, Vandana. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm learning. This is a very new topic for all of us. I know so much and I'm learning from all of you as well.
Thank you. Who wants to go next? I'm sure you have questions. Don't be shy. It's a new
Actually,
topic.
can I go ahead?
Go
Yes,
ahead,
please.
Atul.
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to meet at least virtually, Vandana. So this is the first time. So thank you so much for a wonderful session. So I have a question around authentication and authorization. If you Of course, you must be aware of there is some, attack where GitHub MCP server was having private repo and public repo. Someone created, a false, PR in the public repo, which was, referring to the private repo, and the data got leaked. So the question is, how do we, scope the agent with respect to access control? How do we decide whether what access control that agent should have? Because there is a human identity and there is an agent identity. So what should be the boundary line? What accesses should agent should have? So that should happen during planning phase, design phase. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are purely it has to start from the very get-go. Secure by
Okay.
default from the very start. And I feel that when we talk about access, it should be a no from the very beginning. If
Okay.
there are 10 people, let's say your agent is interacting with 10 different apps, what kind of access that is there? Whether it's write, whether it's read, what kind of data is
Yeah.
this coming? And even let's say you and I are talking, like you and I are talking, and suddenly
Right.
I start blabbering things. So you're like, oh, what
Mm.
is she talking? And similarly, that's what happened with these agents. They start blabbering
Oh,
things. If they don't have the right amount of data, they start hallucinating. So
correct.
the
Yeah.
first thing starts with to avoid that hallucination, we have to give the right amount of data. And
Mm.
the right amount of access starts with no access, where
Okay.
there's a vendor which is sharing the data with me. it'll only be the right one's access. That's all. So that I know what kind of access that is there, what kind of information is there. Because on the real time, at the real time, the information should not change. And when I'm using their information, I'm vetting their information. As much as I am talking about authorization, I'm talking about authentication, the data which is coming, it's equally important. Now, that's one part. Now comes the second part. Who can manipulate the data? Can I manipulate the data? If I become a disgruntled employee or a disgruntled person, can I play around with the data? Can I say that, oh, get me all the tokens which are there? Can you give me all that data? So it all starts with giving no access at all, slowly approving those permissions as much as it is needed. And if you don't need it, review those permissions, whether it's weekly, whether it's in 15 days. That's very important. Especially with AI, it has to be reviewed very frequently. We can't say that we are doing it after 6 months. Sorry. The way models are changing fast, you don't even remember. I remember being, I have a, so I do this vibe coding session where I talk about these different LLMs which are there and LLM models which are there. Think about it, how frequently they are changing. Sonnet, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini. Oh my God, there are so many versions of it, and there's so much update going on. So what will you do with that? Oh my God, that's a crazy thing. And I think the first thing starts with, let's give it no permission if it does not need it.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, the security itself has that basic principle, right? Stop the person at the main gate, not inside. So limit the
Yeah.
access.
Or
Yeah.
I would love to have all your phone chats, your pictures, your data, your voice calls, your emails, your bank statements, your bank accounts, everything. I would love to have that information,
Yeah.
but you would not like
Another
it.
thing is with the AI now earlier we used to have a code and data different. Now everything is code. Whatever is natural language, it's now a code. So it's really difficult how to control these things basically. Earlier SQL injection, you know that this is a code, this is data. Now the boundary is vanishing actually. Everything what comes to model is a as an attack vector. So that is also another thing actually.
Can I say something on that? So earlier,
Yeah,
attackers
definitely,
were like,
definitely. Yeah.
people used to call them as with the hoodies, right? Now they are polite English speaking people. That's about it. When you
Yes.
talk about prompts, you're talking about data. They're just
Yeah,
politely
yeah.
asking these LLMs, these MCP
Yes.
servers, please fetch me the data. And it's like, oh, you asked for it. Here
Yeah,
it is.
right.
Yes.
So
So they're kind of
interestingly,
naive.
Atul, sorry, Daniel. Interestingly, Atul, if you can read more about adversarial attacks on LLM prompts, I wrote a paper on it. I can share it with you if you need it later. But yeah, that's an interesting thing that we can read through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure,
Sure.
sure, Nero. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So my finding is they're quite naive, like the person like without too much social skills. If you ask it politely, it's going to try to be of service and help you. But they're just LLM. We are now expanding the attack surface. And for others on the call, like when I originally reached to Vandana, I didn't even know it's going to be MCP topic. I wanted awareness about OWASP top 10 because the entry level to coding barrier has dropped down, and way too many people are not aware of this open source community OWASP and traditional top 10 vulnerabilities. And I'm seeing the same vulnerability, or similar, not the same, maybe not security, but it's privacy leak or being naive, like I've seen 20 years ago with e-commerce apps. And then LLM top 10 came up, and then MCP hacks started happening. So you're really kind of stacking one problem on top of another at rapid speed. So maybe introduce to the people watching on YouTube, like why they should pay more attention to OWASP if they're new to this. And repeat agent specs that I didn't know
Yes,
about.
yes, yes.
Right.
You're muted. You're on mute,
Yes,
Vandana.
please.
We can't hear you. We lost camera and microphone.
Yeah. Sorry, can you hear
That's
me?
okay. Yes, yes. So just kind of explain them the importance of washing hands before the meal. They don't know that.
Right.
So I was asking you to give them an overview, like repeat that slide with other initiatives on
Oh my God.
OWASP. Yeah, sorry.
Oh my God. Okay,
Your
okay, 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 okay. Perfect, perfect. So let's talk. Should I share my screen?
If you want to, like that needs to be
I
reinforced.
would
Like when
love
you're
to.
driving on the road, there is always a sign reminding you 60 kilometers now, 60. We know it's 60, but it's reinforcing it. We have to do the same with LLM and with people.
Yes.
So tell them why it's important for them to pay attention to this.
So first of all, when we talk about these newer technologies, we should know where we are heading. Because if you don't, as Daniel talked about it, right, that if you don't know about that route and in bombs, no.
We cannot hear you. Maybe turn off camera to save bandwidth. Maybe turn off camera to save bandwidth. We cannot hear you. It's choppy.
Let me turn off my Bluetooth. And I'll,
Yeah. It's choppy audio. Yeah, try now.
yeah, maybe.
It's
Can you hear
so.
me?
Yes, little bit better.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Perfect.
Oh God.
Hmm? We can hear you.
Yeah, it's a bit better. Go ahead and try again.
I think my internet is flaking.
But it's okay now. We can hear you. So video is a bandwidth. So we lost you. So while she's getting to speed, so 20 years ago, like for e-commerce sites,
Okay.
they were like photo. Yeah, go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
when we talk about AI, we need to understand the whether
We can't hear you. Maybe just don't share screen. Just use the radio. But they're getting the point.
Yeah.
Look back. We are not here suddenly. Where we are is derived based on 20 plus years of experience of this group that's always focused on making sure you're safe and secure. So that was the highlight of the point, and nobody better to explain that than Vandana. I'm just one of the users and Toronto OWASP community members. So that was the point of my question. Yes.
Yeah.
sorry,
I
I
try
had
to
to switch
cover for
internet.
you.
Thank you. Sorry, my internet stopped working, so I've connected to my phone. And I'm glad after completing the session, it got.
Yeah, the main presentation was fine. We heard every word. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm glad.
yeah. And like what you missed, it was really kind of reinforcement of why we are here and why it's important to them to look back at the past and to follow this community. There are local chapters around there. You're asking the volunteers. So teach them how to contribute. Like I recently learned I can pay for membership, but I never did. I just go to Toronto Meetups. So
Yes.
so educate them how to contribute, how to bring self-awareness.
So let's start with the very first thing. Start going to the local meetups. That's where you start off. You can actually start speaking at the local meetups. And my community journey started way back in 2011. So I started working in 2005. But till 2011, I did not know OWASP was a community. Trust me, I was like, it's OWASP top 10 and the testing guide. That's about it. And I feel shame that why I did not know. And then suddenly in one of the trainings, somebody I met in Bangalore, and he said that I'm one of the chapters for OWASP Bangalore. I'm like, it's people, right? Then I started going to these meetups, and then they realized that, oh, I'm contributing so I can be a leader for that community. And then I started paying for the membership. But before that, yes, I was also a non-paying member. Now I'm a lifetime member because I was on the global board. So I wanted to make sure that I don't forget about it. Like it becomes my responsibility. So I became a lifetime member. Now, that's one thing. But then there are so many projects from OWASP Top 10, which is the actual one where we talk about OWASP Top 10 for applications. You can actually, so the draft version is out because we just released in the first week of November at Global AppSec DC. or AppSec USA, you can go to GitHub for OWASP Web Application Top 10. And I can share the link also here. You can go there and provide your inputs on the GitHub, and your name will be there in the contributors list. That's the best part. So go there,
Yes.
check it out, contribute, and you would get your name there. I think that's something very, very beautiful.
And
Apart
people
from that,
don't appreciate that it becomes important when you get old. I still have my name, Sun Microsystems. Company's gone, but it feels good to contribute to Emacs editor on Solaris machines. So remember what she told you.
absolutely, absolutely. And then let me tell you how I started contributing to these projects, because I saw a lot of names on a vast top 10 list. And I'm like, I want to have my name on this list someday. And it's always beautiful to have it. And when you're working as a developer or as an AppSec person, you're like, yes, it's good to have the name on this top 10 list. So that's how I started. And then I started working on multiple projects. And a few years back, I decided to start my own projects. I'm running MCP Top 10. I'm contributing to LLM Top 10. Then I am also contributing to Agentic AI ecosystem. I'm part of AI VSS, which is AI vulnerability scoring system, and in many other projects. I run Spotlight series. So if you want to know about some of the projects that are there in OWASP and how do they work, can I share my YouTube channel if that's okay?
Of course, it's on the page. So if
Hi
people, I
everyone,
always
and
have,
welcome to the Snyk workshop.
yeah. So
I'll
I
share
always have
this
homework
beautiful
section.
list.
It's in the meetup page. So if you go to the event,
Oh,
open the read more homework, it's in there, but paste everything. So that's included.
I'll show you just now. Give me 1
Yeah,
second.
perfect. That's a really good one. There is one thing the group can do a little bit better. Like in religion, there are many religions, but like there is top 10 commandments that most of them respect. Like before you started, when we pivoted into MCP topic, before it was officially written as top 10 MCP, you've seen initiatives in Europe calling it top. Like people like the catchy name top 10. So if
Yeah.
you can kind of work on converging different ideas or choosing the best one, so that's what I've seen. It's a little bit Wild West still. What's top 10? Who is the Moses for particular vulnerability? So that's my
Yeah.
feedback.
No,
So
absolutely.
Vandana, you have MCP top 10 videos as well. I have gone through it. You are a YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
was excellent actually. Yeah. The specific series on MCP top 10. I have gone through it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a good one.
Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
do
And
you
I
know
think
anything about Anthropic Hack? This recently announcement, we were chatting on LinkedIn about that. That was so timely. Can you give people insights why it's important and what Anthropic, if you're familiar with the topic?
I would not be the right person, because if I say something, my company is gonna kill me. So I'm like,
Okay,
no,
no problem.
that's
Read the announcements. It's in the homework section, so I'll paste it here as well. So if you go to the meetup page where you signed up for this event, open the homework. That's kind of teaching assistant in me talking. And in there is this recent like bulletin board explanation of Anthropic, how hackers use their platform to bypass security audits and to orchestrate espionage attacks in North America against 30 companies. Crazy.
Yeah. There was
Any
a
other?
you
paper
should check.
released by Anthropic on that. Cloud code
Yes,
has been used to do a reconnaissance and exploitation to live targets actually.
yes,
So that's what I think you're talking about, right, Daniel?
yes. And it was kind of shadow NCP because it looked like a regular security scan.
Yeah, yeah.
So read it up. I'll post the link. Any other question? This is so exciting. I can go on and on, but people will have to drop
I have actually
15
shared the
minutes.
link. I can't talk about it, but I have the link because I've read the whole report
Okay.
about it. Yeah.
That the timing was perfect when you suggested
Yeah.
MCP topic and this comes along. So I hope people watch this on YouTube
Yeah.
and read.
And I think there's so much that we can talk about. And as you said, there's a lot of work being done but people are not sharing yet the data. There are a lot of attacks which are happening. And let me tell you, if you go to the draft version, the document of MCP top 10, somebody literally pointed out that not to include shadow MCP server. So I was like, no, we need it.
Good decision.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Soon I can go into raffle, like anybody. Did you do the raffle? bit.ly/SLSTO. Yeah, no, anybody else? Like, don't be shy. This is new topic, so we're all learning.
I had one question. It's more on like the job opportunity side. Like, how do you think MCP, learning MCP or upgrading skills in this? Because in my current job, we are building LLM projects for my company, and I mostly like just call APIs, OpenAI API or Cloud APIs for the projects and use LangGraph. But I don't think for production level we have used MCP as such. So how do you think in the future it's gonna evolve? Yeah, that's my question.
It will evolve, Jagan. The only thing is that as we were talking about it, that it's still in the very niche stage. And MCP alone will not be a job. It's all about LLMs. It's all about working on the AI ecosystem. So it's a whole. It's not like something which is alone, because MCP work along with LLMs, right? Or it's part of it. It's one integrated ecosystem. So if you say that you're working on AI ecosystem or you're working on development, so or developing AI tools, so it'll just work hand in hand. But it's a long way to go with MCP for sure. There's a lot of work being done in this area right now, which is not released yet. There's a lot of work which is going to be done. Now, as we were talking about this Anthropic issue just now, I think that's like a wake up call. That when we start using these newer ecosystem, we need to understand the basics of it. That what it does, what can go wrong with it. Like if we get any new toy at home, first we understand how to assemble it, how to play around with it. And even for that matter, if I talk about my iPhone, I don't know what tons of features it has. My son showed me that yes, these are the features which are there. And I'm like, oh, there's an AI feature also where you can remove people. I'm like, I didn't know about it. He said, now you can use it. And I use it. Think about it. But then it can be very manipulative also. So when you talk about job market, everyone wants to have these skills around AI, whether you want it or not, whether you're just using APIs, whether you're just calling APIs, but it's just the same ecosystem.
Yeah, thanks for the answer.
Anybody else? Or are we going to go into survey? Only 3 of you did survey, so it's a really good odds. Don't let them in.
Those are good odds.
Vandana, I'll add your name. So Mining Publications donates any e-product, digital product, not print products, not bundles, but they're really good platform for learning. Any other questions while I'm going through the names of the raffle? So now we have a couple more people.
So, Vandana,
Right.
I have one question regarding
Mhm.
to get hands-on on AI hacking or something like this. We hear about these MCPs, all these vulnerabilities and everything. That's really great. But let's say I want to do some hands-on. Is there any platform available where we can go and do hands-on these things, and get this attack really running on our local system, or do we have to do on our own? Is something where we can really build, see, and because unless and until let's say someone I'm working in an organization where we are not really using MCP agent or
Mhm.
something like that, there is no way I can do that live actually. So is there any platform where we can do this live and really check how these things work?
So Atul, what you can do is, again, I'm not going to be promoting Snyk, but Snyk has an MCP server.
Mhm.
Snyk
Oh,
has an
okay.
open source component. There are vulnerable dependencies which are there. There's vulnerable code which is there. If you really want to try it out, That's the way to go. And if you're still confused, give me, I think I'll be at Black Hat. Give me time till first week of January. I'll set up a few
Okay.
things. I'll create a training during the
Wow.
during the vacation, and I can do a proper hands-on demo. Because for LLM, all the sessions that I've given, I have these demos prepared for it. But I'll
Okay.
be at Black
Yeah.
Hat next week, so I'll be completely busy. But in January, I can do something about it. I can
That's
see what
amazing.
best
Yeah.
I can do.
And
Thank
maybe
you
you
so
come
much.
back in
Yeah.
March and help people. That really helps. When I was kind of younger engineer doing OWASP hacking, there was a book with CD inside, and there was a WebGoat app that you go through. So that's a really good question they asked, how to become hands-on and become ninja in what you do, white hat. So,
Yeah. So shall we ask you,
perfect.
how old are you?
Don't. 50 plus. That's easy answer. But it felt amazing, like to every page of the book you open, you hack the e-commerce site. And then company that asked me to do white hacking, they had a manager sit beside me. They were afraid, but it was just white hat. And then I realized I wasn't alone. There is this OWASP community in Toronto. And I don't know how many of you know company Security Compass, the big company for security hacking in the area. Nish was our leader. He was leading that community in Toronto, and he's now happily retired on 3 continents offices. So there is business opportunity here with these new waves of LLM. So whoever has entrepreneurship mindset, that's how I see it. Any other thoughts, or are you waiting to see the winner?
Thank you.
So let me share the screen then. And I think 9 of you, is there anybody who wants to be in the raffle that I did not get the name of? Okay, no. So I'll do the quick spin. After that, you share with me your email address that you use when you buy products for mining, and then we'll figure out the way to share the coupon, 100% off coupon code for mining, for you to learn something new, whatever topics is interesting to you. So good luck. I'm spinning. Naresh, well deserved. You asked lots of questions.
Thank you.
So send me your email address in the chat here, and I will
Okay,
keep it for myself. Doesn't go to internet, and send you the coupon code.
that's fine. I have my MCP to secure.
Perfect. Congrats. Anything else? Any other closing thoughts? Any holiday plans? Like, now this is recording, so watch out what you say.
You asking me? What's my holiday plan?
Anybody? Yeah, like we finished. Meetup is over, so now we can continue post meetup chit chat if you want.
Yeah, I think Vandana, you back in Bangalore, do let us know. Happy to meet. It's
Yeah. No,
been
no. I'm in Bangalore
every
right
time.
now, but I'll be traveling tomorrow for Black Hat Europe. I'll be in
Yeah,
London.
I'm in Bangalore too, but yeah, we thought of meeting when I was in US too. We missed couple, but yeah, we should meet.
Awesome. Keep us
Uh,
posted. I would love to have you back. This is a really important topic. If we survive all the AI automation, like, because I don't know if you noticed, but the jobs are in danger. So as much as we are excited, uh, it's just a matter of time where we'll have to be useful elsewhere.
yeah, I mean, off the record note, right? I think you guys recording or okay.
Yeah, we are recording now, but so
Okay.
feel free.
No, I can't share. I can actually there's a lot of MCP servers which e-commerce sites are using. They are more vulnerable.
Mhm.
Being working for an e-commerce company, I cannot say, but yeah, I mean, you have to be really careful when using the MCPs for sure.
Yes, yes. So we'll be coming back to this topic, like, hopefully in the next year. And then I hope to have you back again. I'm really honored. I don't, John, if you have any closing thoughts or.
I would
No,
say, please feel free to share your feedback. It was such a wonderful interaction. It did not feel like a presentation.
That's what we try to do, to learn from one another, help one another. And if you look, guys, on the Meetup topics, they're all over the place. It's like the variety radio station. Everything that's important to work, because both John and I are consultants. We drive our inspiration for Meetups from the real problems at work that we cannot talk about because our contracts will not be renewed. But we teach people publicly. So 6 months later, the managers we cannot tell they have a problem will come back and do the proper thing. So thank you.
Much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vandana. That was fantastic. Great chit chat.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
have a good
Holidays to
weekend,
everyone.
everybody.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
See you in January.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Oh,
Bye.
have a safe trip, Vandana. Bye.
Thank you.